welcome to TST Broadcasting and the Resort Management and Marketing Channel. The Timeshare Board Members Association is today's sponsor. TBMA is leading the way in education, resources, solutions, and networking among HOA board members, resort managers, and industry experts. Be sure to visit www.tbmassoc.org. Hi, this is Shep, publisher of Timesharing Today. Jeff Weir, correspondent for TBMA, Timesharing Today, and Red Week, joins us on this program of the Resort Management and Marketing Channel. We will be discussing the intense efforts being made by the proactive Board of Directors of the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club in South Lake Tahoe, California. They're working diligently to assure their legacy timeshare remains financially strong and sustainable while keeping their owners fully engaged. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the broadcast.
Shep, good to speak with you again. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I appreciate it. And you've been reporting for Timesharing Today and for Red Week about many issues facing resorts and their owners. And in particular, you have devoted a significant amount of time reporting about the evolving situation at the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club in South Lake Tahoe. So tell our listeners a little bit about the background of what's going on there.
I'd be happy to do that. It's actually a fairly interesting story that could maybe apply to other legacy resorts, but for sure it applies to resorts here in the Lake Tahoe area, which is sprinkled with legacy timeshares. So lots of people locally are watching it. The situation is this: the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club has been a sleepy little beachside resort for nearly 40 years, very quaint, very old style, has an older, aging base of legacy week owners. And in the last few years, the board discovered that Diamond Resorts was buying up lots of intervals. And when they discovered this, they consulted outside folks who had more experience, and they realized that having a huge block ownership from one owner posed a potential peril to the financial stake of a resort. So about 4 years ago, the board started talking to Diamond, and one thing led to another, and it turns out there was a falling out, and the legacy board members, at the time there were 3 out of the 5 board members were legacy week owners, and the other 2 were perceived as folks who were more sympathetic to Diamond. And it became a cause célèbre locally, where the legacy week owners were trying to protect the resort's independence, and they feared a potential takeover from Diamond. And many things over the last 2 years have happened, including a couple of contested elections where Diamond ran its representatives against legacy week owners. Diamond sued the resort in 2015 for failing to recognize some 200-plus deeds that Diamond had bought on the secondary market. And it's a long, convoluted story, but it came to a new head a week ago, September 24th, when there was this year's annual meeting, an election of 2 more owners to the board. There was much speculation that Diamond would run a write-in campaign to get 2 Diamond representatives on the board. And there were 2 legacy week owners who had been anointed by the existing board who ran for the 2 open spots. Well, when it came down for election day, Diamond said nothing. Diamond voted its entire block votes of 1,700 votes for the 2 candidates that the board had deemed appropriate for service. And so those 2 candidates were elected with 3,900 votes each, Bill Costa and Kathleen Montgomery. And it was perceived as a major victory for all the owners who've been longtime owners, because these 2 folks have been legacy week users and loyal owners at this resort for 15 to 20 years. So what has happened? The board has gone from a position of feeling threatened by Diamond and what it might do with this election to having a board constituted solely of legacy week owners, 5-0, who are committed to maintaining the resort's independence while they continue renovations, while they upgrade their rental programs, while they work with a new management company to optimize operations and fill their rooms as much as possible. And so far, they're succeeding on all fronts. So the story from a big picture is that the board's fight to maintain independence and to communicate aggressively with members about the importance of local control, that has succeeded so far. And the resort has been able to renovate all of its rooms without special assessments. The resort looks better than it did a couple of years ago. So things are on the up and up. And I'd say the resort membership is, those who are paying attention are very happy, because at this board election a week ago, 350 people turned out. The total votes were more than 4,000, which is nearly half of the total membership. It was an astounding vote turnout. And so those who are paying attention are participating, and I think as a result of seeing them live many times over the past couple of years, it's an energized membership group that has challenges ahead, but so far they're working it out so the economics works for them.
So can you talk about the global perspective of owners who are resisting a takeover by a developer, vacation club? What are the implications of that? Why is that a issue of concern? I'm not talking specifically about Diamond, but in a general context, what is it that they are concerned about having a well-financed management vacation club come in and take over control of the resort? What are those implications?
Well, you've hit it right on the head, and I'll give you an example. The Tahoe Beach and Ski Resort, Diamond owns 22% of all the units. That means Diamond is paying $1 million a year in maintenance fees to keep the club going. That is a huge benefit to the club because that's the one company that's not going to default. And Diamond has said, in addition to what it's already done, that it plans to continue buying up units that become available because it's trying to feed its trust club by putting legacy weeks into the trust and then reselling them as points for travel at many locations. That exact model is being replicated at many older resorts where boards are seeking partnerships with companies that can take care of their excess inventory, bring in new buyers, recycle units that have been dormant or delinquent for a long time, and just have a more vetted operation for managing a long-time resort. And there are some resorts that get to a juncture where if they cannot find a business partner to help them through these economic changes as resorts age, there are some resorts that ultimately will close down. But the reality is that many legacy resorts are looking for partners to take up excess inventory and to provide new vacationers. The resorts that do well with that type of a partnership are resorts in good areas that are highly valued and resorts that generally have good facilities. Resorts that are in poor repair or in seasonal vacation spots where there's not much year-round activity, they have a much harder time doing this. From the resorts that I have talked to over the last few years, from my perspective, the key is having a good management company right by the side of the board of directors. The management company can bring in this broader network of potential vacationers. They know how to set up rental programs, resale programs, and they probably know how to cut operations costs better than a local board because they do it at multiple resorts. And I know in the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club example, they brought in Grand Pacific Resorts a couple of years ago, and they've had some dramatic improvements in just ongoing operating costs because of that changeover. So that's an example, but there are many. The fear of block ownership, and the reason that some legal consultants will advise boards not to let one entity get too much control, is that if that entity changes its business model or it goes bankrupt, suddenly a resort has a major cash flow problem on their hands. So that's the danger of a block ownership. The other potential danger, and this is more subjective, is whether a block ownership would lead to a change in management company where the block owner, regardless of what company it is, would bring in its own management company, and then they would run the resort the way they wanted to, even if the legacy owners of that resort didn't like what was happening. So there's a fear of loss of independence. There's a fear of too much vested power in one entity. And in some cases, there's a fear of the change in culture that would occur if a block owner suddenly showed up one day and said, we're in charge.
Now, we have to look at business reality, or the reality of the business of running a timeshare, because it is a business, and quite often it's a multi-million-dollar business, and you have board members who are entrusted through fiduciary responsibilities to act on behalf of the owners of that resort. So in the case of Tahoe Beach and Ski, and I know you've been physically on site, you know the people very well. We've met them at TBMA as well in terms of the board member participation. Now, the conditions that are facing legacy resorts are the piling up of of inventory or piling up of weeks that are moving into a default state where they're not generating revenues for the resort. And that becomes a problem, and there could be a tipping point because you have the aging owner base, and if you don't have a sales program that's bringing in new people who are going to contribute to the economic pool, and you have to make up the difference in those losses. So is Tahoe Beach and Ski different than what might be considered the most common or prevalent condition at resorts? Do they have something going for them in terms of resales? We know Diamond is filling a void and bringing in revenues. And is Diamond the only game in town for the Tahoe Beach and Ski? Because there are other resorts that have multiple contracts with various vacation clubs at the same resort. So what's the condition there, the economic condition and the outlook of that condition for the future of the resort?
Well, it's pretty interesting you asked that question because at the annual meeting a week ago, they released all their current data. So I'll just go through a little bit of it. And it paints a pretty positive picture short term. Delinquencies are down from 16% a year ago to below 9%. They have launched a resale program this year and already sold over 110 units compared to 0 the year before. The HOA still owns about 250 units that are available for resale, and so far they're able to sell those types of units to existing owners. This new company, Grand Pacific, that they brought in to manage, has done a fairly outstanding job from what I can see of cutting costs. And an example of that is that the average room renovation today costs $67,000 compared to $130,000 per room 2 years ago. Grand Pacific has also increased the nightly room rentals. And rental income for the resort is $180,000 higher than it was last year. And for owners, that represents a savings of about $88 on a maintenance fee. Those things are all fairly positive indicators that the association, which has been able to pour $13 million into renovations over the past 5 years without a special assessment, it's proof that the HOA has managed itself fairly well to maintain a reserve, to actively go after a timely series of renovations. And they've been able to keep a lid on maintenance fees so that the rank and file owners are not getting anything but happy to see that the rooms are upgraded. So this year, right now, their operating revenues are $322,000 higher than a year ago. They've got a reserve fund of in excess of $1 million, which they've maintained over the years. And they're operating in the black. And the key to their program right now is taking HOA-owned units and reselling them. And I think anyone that's ever gone to a TBMA meeting or consulted other legacy resorts will say that the number one issue for survival is to find a method to recycle the HOA-owned units that go into delinquency and foreclosure, and number two, to optimize rental income opportunities for those unused rooms. And those are the challenges that every legacy resort faces as their owner base diminishes from age.
Where are they getting the buyers? What's generating the ability to convert idle inventory into revenue-producing inventory?
Well, in prior years, the board let delinquent units go to tax sales. And that's a long process in California. It takes several years to resolve. And that means several years of no maintenance fees. A year or two ago, the board decided they'd come up with a better program where they would foreclose quickly on delinquent units. They would then pay off the back taxes themselves and then put the unit back on the market for resale. They did that in conjunction with their management company, which started an on-site resale program so that anyone who came to the resort for rental or for a week stay would run into Wayne Johnson at the front desk, who would tell them about the special rates available to existing owners to buy more units. And these are rates that might be $800 for a studio to $1,500 for a one-bedroom. These would be very inexpensive units to buy. And during this process of educating owners about the need to participate more fully in the resort's activities and pay attention to its policies, the board accumulated a waiting list of owners who wanted to buy more units. So originally, this 110 unit sale list that I mentioned previously, that came solely from existing owners who had already signed up saying, I want more. They're obviously going to have to branch out beyond existing owners, but they are currently reaching out to any renters that stay at the resort just by virtue of their proximity of having an on-site sales presence. I know other legacy resorts, even in Lake Tahoe, where you will see no evidence of an on-site sales activity when you're at the resort. So you wouldn't even know anything's happening. At Tahoe Beach and Ski Club, they introduce you to the folks who handle that, and they invite you to come talk to them. And it's a low-key, but also very positive outreach to start the ball rolling. And as I said before, most management companies that work with legacy resorts have either a knack or no knack at all, instigating revenue from rentals and helping launch HOA resale programs. And those are truly critical components of not just the short-term, but the long-term survival for many of these older resorts.
So this points to a question that I've asked at a couple of TBMA meetings, and it was sort of a tongue-in-cheek question, but are deeds dead? Because there's so much attention being paid to the trust model, conversions to points model, and quite often that's just an overlay on a deeded program. But at Tahoe Beach and Ski, it sounds like the deeded interest is alive and well. So is that a true statement?
That is absolutely a true statement, and that's what they're banking on. The deeded week owners are used to a week or two at a time. They're not converting through. They can use RCI or other companies like that for exchanges, but because of the high summertime value of Tahoe Beach and Ski's location, most owners would never give up their weeks in the summer, and they use them. And in fact, the board just instituted a 27-month reservation window for people to reserve their units. The longest one I've ever heard of in the industry, but they're trying to make it possible for people to really be able to use their units when they want. And many of these owners at this resort have 10, 12, or 15 weeks. It's an astonishing thing to see, the loyalty. But bottom line, they have to be innovative, and the deeds are part of what they're banking on, because it gives them power against the takeover. Once you're involved, and I'm a Diamond owner and a Marriott owner, so I know what some of these other programs offer with points, and they're very seductive and attractive, but once you give up a deed, you basically are not guaranteed of owning anything but the right to try to get a reservation. Own deeds actually have a little bit of stake in the dirt, and that's what the folks at Tahoe Beach and Ski covet. And I'll give you one more example. That's a resort where people who bought a long time ago, and they didn't spend much money to get it. So their enjoyment of timeshare has been inexpensive, it's been very positive in the traditional family sense, and the deeds are what allow them to get in. One of their fears was Diamond, and it could have been a fear with any other major developer. One of their fears with Diamond is that they would be pressured to convert their weeks into these trust points, and they just had no faith that they'd ever get back into their own resort using points. If they own a deed, you can't take it away from them. So that's the power of it. I know the trend is to go to points because it offers flexibility for usage for owners, and I think for millennials, who are the next big pocket of users, the points are probably the way to go, because they end up not owning anything except the right to reserve and then go anywhere. And if they can go at the last minute, which millennials like to do, they can jump on board a plane and go to Hawaii on a Friday, not knowing where they were going to go on Wednesday. Legacy Week owners plan ahead. They're used to it. They look a year out. They check out their vacations, and they like the stability of that. So I think there will be this divergence of continued pressure at Legacy Weeks resorts for people to convert to clubs where they have broader flexibility. At the same time, there'll be some resistance from long-term owners who don't want to give up their weeks. And I know that even at Marriott and Starwood and some of these other major clubs that have very attractive-looking points programs, there is a sizable percentage, like maybe 40 to 50% of their owners who are still deeded week owners and decline to give them up for points.
Well, where is this heading when we look at the aging owner base of the legacy resort owners, and what is going to be the trend at Tahoe Beach and Ski as owners get older and can no longer travel or can no longer afford the cost of ownership, will those aging owners who want to leave be able to get out with ease, as opposed to having to battle their way out and turn to all sorts of other options which are not very wholesome sometimes? So how does all those dynamics come into play? And
you've hit on all the dynamics that are important. There's one other issue that this particular club has adopted. It's an online program for owners to communicate with each other directly outside of any board of directors kind of activity. There's a Yahoo users group and a Facebook users group for owners at Tahoe Beach and Ski, and that is used by owners to communicate any messages they want, including, hey, I've got a unit to rent, or I have a unit to sell. And right now, that's one of the primary additional vehicles for owners to move their units when they can't use them or don't want them. Occasionally, there will be postings on the Yahoo users group where an owner will just say, I can't go anymore. I want to give my timeshare away to someone who's going to use it. The cost is $0. Please call me for the deed. And so that is in play for Tahoe Beach and Ski, in addition to having an official resale program and an official rental program, an official partner with a management company that's looking for other inventory uses. And I think other resorts will adopt methods like that where owners can bypass any kind of official chain of command and do business with other owners on their own. But those types of things, I think, will proliferate as people get more user-friendly with using the internet for communications. I think more and more legacy resorts will get more tech-friendly over time. And particularly with the advent of the millennials and whatever their buying habits are going to be, they'll be very tech-dependent, if not completely tech-dependent. So all the travel entities that have been sort of slow to move with the pace of technology in the last couple of decades, they're going to have to ramp that up, because all marketing and sales activity is going to be dependent on how well you communicate your wares over the internet. In the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club case, where you've got a lot of owners in their mid-70s, they are way beyond caring about that. And the ones that no longer want to use the resort turn it into the resort and walk away. They don't have to pay a huge fee. They don't have to go through litigation. The board's not going to sue them for back payments because that's counterproductive financially. And so owners at this resort, where buying a new unit is a couple of $1,000s or less, it's not that big a deal. The real goal for these legacy resorts is converting a dead unit into one where you have a dues-paying member.
And finally, you have the dynamics of the vacation club, and quite often they want access to the owners to present the features and benefits of their vacation clubs. So you have the on-site resale program that's being administered by Grand Pacific. Do these vacation clubs, Diamond and whichever other clubs might be involved, do they have a physical presence there in terms of selling conversions to their points programs?
Well, at the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club, Diamond has no visible presence except that there's a huge Diamond resort right next door with a big Diamond signed on it. And there are many people that have stayed at both resorts, so they sort of know what the cultural differences are between the big Diamond beachfront area and the small, sleepy Tahoe Beach and Ski Club resort. But there are many vacation clubs that are contacting owners, and in fact, Diamond is one of them. They continue to communicate with owners, urging them to come to Diamond presentations, where they will urge them to give up their deeded weeks in order to buy Diamond points. And that's one of the methods that Diamond uses today, allegedly, to get Tahoe Beach and Ski Club owners to sell their units to Diamond. And this is brought up at the annual meeting. Several owners have gone through this pitching process. So that's going on, but Diamond's not alone. There are a lot of clubs looking for inventory in Lake Tahoe. It's a coveted area, particularly in the summer and during the ski months when there's snow. And this particular club is an older resort, but it's a beautiful setting. So if anybody was going to invest a little money and get a beachfront property, the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club would be a prime one. I think at the moment, Grand Pacific, with its own network of other nice vacation properties in California and Hawaii and elsewhere, they're providing that network of exchange for existing owners and also exposing their network of owners at other resorts to Tahoe Beach and Ski. And that's a benefit that works both ways. creates inventory, new vacations, and brings in new potential users to the Tahoe area, where getting more users and future owners to replace the aging out base is essential.
So with an organization like Diamond, and I think you said it had a 20% stake of ownership there, 22% stake of ownership?
22.
22%. That's still providing inventory for their vacation club. So there's no disincentive, or is there a disincentive for them just to continue? I'm assuming that they're able to pay the maintenance fees because they're reselling it to their point system at a value that would be above the typical maintenance fee.
Well, here's the comparison. When Diamond was actively buying, tax sale intervals from Tahoe Beach and Ski a couple of years ago, they were spending like $7,500 per unit, where you'd have to pay off all the back taxes plus maintenance fees. Well, Diamond's business model, according to its own public statements on Wall Street, is that they would take back units like that, or other units that were just turned into them. They would transfer them into their land trusts. They would equivalize those legacy weeks into some point value, and then they would resell those points at presentations to either existing Diamond owners or potentially new ones. But bottom line, Diamond was averaging taking a $7,500 legacy week from Tahoe Beach and Ski Club that had bought at a tax auction, and they would resell it for $20,000 in Diamond Club points. So there's a big markup, huge markup, and Diamond and other major developers also have surrender programs where people just can't use their unit anymore, and in many cases they'll take back those units for nothing and resell them for $20,000, and in some cases resell them for more than that. So getting units back inexpensively for these vacation clubs, particularly if they're units at nice places, is a super positive for the developer company that has the resources to do that. And Diamond and Marriott and all these other companies that have these kinds of resources, they monetize their ownership to offset their maintenance fees by, one, reselling the properties as points at a higher value, and two, renting them. You can go on any of the online travel sites right now and look up Tahoe Beach and Ski Club, and you'll find rental values all over the map that might run for $50 to $150 a night. And many of those units are units that Diamond put up on contract with some of the travel sites, and they're just using them as a distribution channel for the Diamond inventory. Diamond also has its own website where Diamond owners such as myself can go on Diamond's website and reserve weeks at Tahoe Beach and Ski Club, even though it is not owned by Diamond. So there's lots of avenues for people to get these weeks, but you can be sure of one thing: if Diamond is spending $1 million in maintenance fees at Tahoe Beach and Ski Club, they're doing that not because they're Santa Claus. They're doing it because there's a way to monetize that and make even more money back every year. And if it didn't work out that way, they'd dump those units.
So in conclusion, would you say the outlook for Tahoe Beach and Ski is positive?
I would say absolutely it's positive in the short term, because the board has taken several steps to sort of ensure it has a future. One, all the board members have gotten very educated by attending TBMA sessions or talking to other resorts, so they have a broader engagement, and they're very active. They are not sit on the wallflower types at all. They're active and engaged. Two, they've tried to engage their membership by aggressively communicating with all owners about the importance of maintaining an independent resort. And that's borne results the last 2 years with the board membership electing people that are pro-independence, and in this case, not sympathetic to Diamond. Three, they brought in a management company that has actually helped energize their revenue prospects immediately on rentals, resales, and just nightly operating and business costs. That is a key component for this resort, and it's an improvement over what they had previously, where they were just losing some revenue and had no resales. So the key part for them is maintaining an independent board, foreclosing and reselling delinquent units as quickly as possible, relying on some smart partners and management companies to help them increase revenues, and align with vacation clubs where the fit and the culture makes sense so that they can broaden their base. It also requires a lot of creativity on the part of the board to go out and find out what the best solutions are. And I think the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club has done a pretty good job of that from a very short-term perspective, looking back 4 years and maybe looking ahead over the next 3 or 4. Beyond that, it's a mixed bag because you're still going to have the proof of their program's success will be whether the rental and the resale programs stay fluid and they can reach new buyers. Because the one certainty they're going to have is the continued demise of their original owner base, and that requires, frankly, newer, younger folks to come in and buy and occupy the timeshares. But I'll give the Tahoe Beach and Ski Club credit. They're in the forefront of trying to do all these things simultaneously. And they've renovated the resort well. They're in a profitable year-to-year business mode right now. And given that and the success of energizing their membership, they're in pretty good posture compared to about 20 other resorts I could think of.
Well, Jeff, it's been great talking to you again, and I want to express our appreciation for your participation in this important and timely interview.
You are more than welcome, and look forward to doing something else with you again.
And this concludes this program on the TST Broadcasting Resort Management and Marketing Channel. We welcome comments by our listeners, so please email staff@tstoday.com. Keep in mind that at Timesharing Today, your opinions really do count.